Hey everyone, it's Stevie TPFL back with another edition of the Morning Grind. It's April 14th. We got a nice Thursday split slate here. I'm going to take the early slate. Dan's going to take the late slate on the Fantasy Fix podcast. That'll be up probably around 11 o'clock this morning. So he'll have the late game analysis for you. I got the early stuff, and I got a special guest joining me today. I've kind of hinted at it all week, but now I can tell you that my NASCAR friend here, Ty Dillon, is joining us on the podcast today. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. Excited to be on, talk a little NASCAR, but more importantly, DFS. I love some DFS, and excited to talk about it today.
Yeah, man. I know. Let's give a little background on you. You're coming up through the Xfinity Series right now. You're doing some races here in the NASCAR Series. We've been able to roster you here a little bit this season in Daily Fantasy NASCAR. So a little background on you if you want to give our listeners a little background here.
Yeah, definitely. I can start from the beginning. I started racing when I was 13 years old. I actually played a lot of other sports. That's kind of where my sports passion comes from. I played a lot of baseball and football growing up as a kid. But I started racing when I was 13 years old, which is late for some drivers who are in the Sprint Cup Series now. A lot of them started when they were 5 and 6 years old racing go-karts. But started when I was 13. Really, from the first time I was in a car, I guess, like they say, when it's in your blood, you kind of you feel it. And when I first drove for the first time, it was on, and I knew I loved it and knew this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And from that point on, I ran anywhere from 70 to 100 races a year, getting as much experience, traveling all across the United States, racing dirt tracks and local races all over, missing a lot of school, having to make up a lot of schoolwork, missing a lot of school parties. So it took a lot of dedication at a young age to do it. But it's definitely paid off, and worked my way through the ARCA Series, the Camping World Truck Series, to the Xfinity Series, where I'm racing full-time now, and making some spot starts in the Sprint Cup Series, and hopefully a full-time ride next year in the Sprint Cup Series.
Yeah, definitely a favorite to win the Xfinity Series. I think it's between you and like 3 or 4 guys here for the Xfinity Series this year. We're pulling for you here at Roto Grinders. You got a bunch of fans that are cheering for you. So I don't want to spend too much time on NASCAR because I do want to talk baseball, and you're very knowledgeable for baseball. So that's why I asked you to join me here to do a little game-by-game analysis. And one thing I want to talk about real quick, growing up, you know my background. I'm a big-time NASCAR person. Love the dirt tracks. I go to dirt tracks. I actually seen you at Volusia here, almost a little month and a half ago now. God, I can't believe how time flies. But yeah, anyway, Tony Stewart, my favorite driver growing up. What's it like being, you're talking to him and, your guys are like working on the car together. What's it like to be working with Tony Stewart?
It's super cool. The first thing that was crazy in my mind was getting the opportunity, getting the call once he did get injured, to be able to drive for him. To be considered for that role was a huge confidence builder for me as a young driver coming up, that another team believed in me and wanted me in their ride. And then the next step was going to the racetrack and having Tony on the radio. The first race was at Atlanta, and for my first laps on the track, he was on the radio. He was down in the pits talking to me, telling me all kinds of things that I'll never forget for the rest of my career, that were very helpful that weekend, which will also help me throughout my career, and being able to work with his team, work with a different organization. It was huge for me, and continuing this weekend running with him again. So it's an honor to run for somebody who's probably going to be, considered a first round or first ballot Hall of Famer of our sport too.
Yeah, for sure. Tony Stewart definitely going to be one of those guys that first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. 2 championships, just a ton of wins, very good driver. And he just loves racing in general. And it sounds like, you have a love for racing, but you also have a love for baseball. And, if people don't know it, and I'm sure if they follow you at Ty Dillon on Twitter, they'll know that you're a huge Braves fan. And, that probably has a lot to do with just your love in general for sports. But tell me how you became a Braves fan before we get into these games.
Yeah, it's in North Carolina. It's hard to pick a baseball team. The closest thing we've had is the Braves, I guess. And when I was a little kid, my grandfather was good friends with Bobby Cox and Ned Yost, who's now the coach of the Royals, obviously. So we always went to Braves games. Anytime they're racing in Talladega or Atlanta, we'd go with my grandfather and get to go to the Braves games. Met Chipper Jones a couple times in my life. He is my ultimate hero in sports. He's one of the coolest guys there is in any sport to me. But the passion for the Braves baseball started a long time ago, and now I'm hanging out with them in the depths of some of their worst years right now. But as a true fan, I'm going to stick with them for when we turn it around and have some of these young prospects come up and start playing baseball. And it kind of started some of my love for DFS because I love watching baseball so much. I love fantasy sports. And then every night I was watching Braves baseball, and then you'd see DraftKings or FanDuel commercial, and I wanted to put some of those guys, have my Braves guys in a lineup a lot. It wasn't a winning strategy at the time, but it also fueled my love for DFS baseball, which I play all the time now.
So being a daily fantasy guy, and I've been playing since 2009, so I've been able to cope with this. I'm a Red Sox fan, and we've had some ups and downs, especially over the last couple of years. And you have to stack against your pitchers every once in a while. It's kind of brutal, as a fan, but as a fantasy player, it has to be done sometimes. How have you been able to cope with that?
Yeah, it's tough. There's there's games where you should be stacking against your guy, and you do. And then there's sometimes where you're pulling against yourself. I feel where I'm pulling against myself to make money. I'm like, well, you know what? If they end up winning the game, I'm okay with it because it's my team winning the game anyways. And you kind of have to fight that battle, but it kind of gives you a double payoff either way. If they win or get blown out, you never know what it might be.
Yeah, score 10 runs or give me a win. So, all right, well, let's get in. We got some games here. Like I said at the beginning, we're going to be talking about the early slate. Dan's going to handle the late slate on the fantasy fix. We're going to start it off here with the Tigers visiting the Pirates. Jordan Zimmermann against Garrett Cole. Really interesting pitching matchup here. You have any thoughts on these pitchers? Zimmermann looked really good in his first start with the Tigers.
Yeah, I being a Braves fan, I watched Zimmermann play against him quite a bit. He's always really, really solid against my Braves. So I like using him. But the Pirates are a team that I'm not usually going to bet against them. They're a team that seems to always get hits and disrupt pitchers. And plus, I'm a big Garrett Cole fan. I love a fastball flame-throwing guy like him. I know he didn't have the start he wanted right out the gate, but he's a guy that I'm not really wanting to bet against. And the Tigers right now aren't really doing it for me as a team. They're hitting you. They have the good hitters, but they're really just not exploding, and they're not scaring me as an offensive team right now.
Yeah, Garrett Cole, he's going to see a lot of righties in this lineup. Strikeout rate was really solid against righties last year at 24.3%, 283 WOBA against righties. So could neutralize some of the power here for Detroit, definitely. And then Zimmermann, on the other hand, actually was pitching better against righties last year as well. So guys like Jaso at the top of the order, I think, is a solid play here. Polanco, yeah, his batting order not great at 6, but I think he's an option. Is there anything else you like here for the Pirates?
I think that it looks like Zimmermann's got a pretty big slugging percentage against him with lefties batting off of him. So I think if you like a power hitting lefty in that lineup, I like Polanco probably the best, like you said. But it's hard to want to target many hitters out of this game. I think you got two good pitchers who aren't going to give up a whole lot. If anything, Garrett Cole is going to give up runs, but I don't see many home runs coming off of him.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. Now, looking at the Tigers side of things, it'd probably be really contrarian to target Cole in this game. I don't know if I'm going to do it too much. I'd probably pick my spots, and if I always have to pick my spots with the Tigers, it's always a guy like Miguel Cabrera, JD Martinez, two upside power home run guys.
Yeah, definitely. And just looking at some of the batter versus pitcher stuff on them tomorrow, Victor Martinez and JD Martinez probably are the best two-looking guys for that game, and Victor's out. So JD's a guy that, if you want to target a Tiger hitter, I think he's probably the one. Saltalamacchia has got one plate appearance and one hit. But I still don't really feel that great going against Garrett Cole.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Victor Martinez probably not going to be in the lineup here, being in a National League park. So you're definitely spot on with that. So let's swing it on over to the Padres at Phillies. Some interesting pitching options here. We got Drew Pomeranz and Vincent Valquez. These guys, if going into the season, you probably didn't know too much about these guys. I followed Pomeranz a lot last year. Lefty that pitched for Oakland, made the starting rotation here with San Diego. I think there's two interesting options here for tournaments. What's your thoughts on these two guys?
Yeah, just looking at Pomeranz's lefty splits, he's pretty much dominant against left-handed hitters. They are hitting for 146 average and 222 slugging percentage. I wouldn't target definitely any of these Phillies lefties against him, and that's mainly what their lineup is. As far as right-handers off of him, I think the one you want to look at is obviously Maikel Franco, who's been hitting the ball really well lately. But still, Pomeranz isn't really giving up a huge batting average to right-handed hitters. He does give up 414 slugging percentage against them. So if you're looking for that big home run, it might be a good opportunity for Maikel Franco. He's been lacing the ball lately. I watched last night. I had him in a couple lineups, and man, he bombed one just foul, broke my heart, and didn't really give me any points after that. So I think he's going to explode maybe tonight, if not Thursday night.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever you see those long foul balls, those are the worst to watch, especially when you're watching it live. But yeah, Franco's a guy that I love to target. I definitely agree with you here on the Philly lefties. If we get guys like Howard in the lineup and stuff, it's definitely going to help Pomeranz in this game. Now, if they go to guys like Ruff and Rupp, I think you could target some of these guys. Pomeranz is a guy that, didn't necessarily struggle, 326 WOBA against righties with a 25% hard contact rate, but those guys are interesting options. Now, on the other side of things, Valquez, with Houston last year, it's always nice to target pitchers that, their ERA is a little bit higher than their xFIP. So I like targeting pitchers like that. And then the Padres really don't scare us that much. So I think he's an interesting tournament option. And maybe guys like Spangenberg, Jay at the top of the order, and then Kemp is always an upside guy. What's your thought on those guys?
Yeah, I'm not targeting very many Padres lately. They're just a bad team, and I try not to target bad teams. I just feel like a bad team is going to continue to play bad until they really show me something different. So if anybody, it's going to be Kemp just because of his history of just being a good hitter. But, Velasquez is giving up 270 to right-handed hitters and 469 slugging percentage. So, maybe Will Myers or a Matt Kemp, if you really feel comfortable putting those guys in your lineup.
Yeah, being contrarian in a tournament, not guys that I would target in cash games. I definitely agree there. Matt Latos taking on Irvin Santana. White Sox visiting the Twins in this next game. Matt Latos is a guy that I love to target. I think he's one of the gas cans in baseball. Gives up a really hard contact rate. He's just a guy that I love to target. But the problem here is, who am I going to target him with the Twins?
Yeah, it's I love watching any game with Matt Latos in it because there's going to be a lot of runs. Last year at the beginning of the year, as a Braves fan, they blew him up. He didn't even make a second out in the first inning, first game of the year. So that was always fun, and you're always licking your chops to see Matt Latos. But against him, the guys you want to target, I think it's going to be tough picking any kind of Twins hitter again. They're remind me a lot of the Padres right now. They're not doing it as far as their right-handed hitters, which is their guys. You could maybe go for a Mauer, a left-handed guy, to get your lefty-righty split. But not a team that you want to stack up on with such a good opportunity with a hitter or a pitcher like Latos. I don't see the benefit in it. I think you want to look at other places.
Yeah, guys that I like on the right-hand side of the plate here. Sano, he's going to break out of this funk and start hitting the ball hard eventually. And then Park coming over from overseas. Both of these guys, I think, present upside in this matchup with Latos. 35% hard contact rate to righties last season. So I like Sano here. Now, looking at the other side of things, I love to target Irvin Santana as well. But the same goes for the White Sox. Who do we really target here against Santana? Santana, a guy that last season, 346 WOBA, 32% hard contact rate to left-handed bats. Adam Eaton at the top of the orders. Maybe he's somebody you'd look at.
Adam Eaton's never really disappointed me on nights where it looks like he has an advantage coming from the left side, and I think this would be a good game to target him. He's always done well for me when I've had him in my lineups. Irvin Santana is a guy who's going to give up hits, and Adam Eaton is a hitter. I don't think you're looking for any power out of him in this game. I think you're wanting to get on base and score you some runs, and I think there's an opportunity for him to do that because Irvin Santana he's not totally dominant against right-hand hitters, so having to go through Abreu and Frazier in that 3 and 4 spot is going to give Eaton some good opportunity if he gets on base.
Yeah, definitely a matchup that I think he could get on base. Agree with you on Abreu and Frazier. Another guy that is eventually going to start hitting the ball is Melky Cabrera. I think you could throw him into a tournament lineup, but this next game we could target both of these pitchers here. We got Danny Salazar visiting Tampa Bay against Chris Archer. Chris Archer to start the season 0-2, but gets a matchup here at home against a Cleveland lineup that doesn't look that strong. These two guys definitely have to be on your radar.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like this reminds me of the game. First time I ever watched Chris Archer play was he was at home, and I think it was either it might have been the Blue Jays last year where he threw 13 strikeouts and was just totally dominant. I feel like he could do it again. I think seems like he's a little more comfortable at home. And this Cleveland Indians lineup, to me, is just boring and not very potent. And I think he can get some strikeouts here and really, really dominate this game. But he can also, you never know, he can also blow up. He's one of those guys that's kind of a high risk, high reward. But I think you're going to see a lot of guys on him tomorrow against this Cleveland Indians team.
Yeah, I think both these pitchers, massive upside for both of these guys. Neither one of these offenses really scare you. Brantley not being in the lineup for the Indians, he went to a rehab assignment on Tuesday, maybe back next week sometime, which definitely helped the Indians lineup. But then, Corey Dickerson, Longoria in the middle of that lineup kind of helped the Rays. But these are two pitchers that can easily rack up 8+ strikeouts apiece. So if you're playing on a site like DraftKings, I don't ever mind pairing my pitchers against each other because the win just doesn't matter as much on DraftKings. So there's some upside here for pairing these two guys and just letting them go at it. I want nothing to do with the bats in this game. What's your thought?
Yeah, I agree with that. Looking at Danny Salazar against the Tampa Bay bats, they're averaging only 200 against him hitting as a team. And they're strong bats for Forsythe and Longoria, Souza, Kiermaier, the guys that I think can really blow up a game for those guys. Don't have a single hit off of them. I think Forsythe has been walked one time by him. And then you look at Archer against the Indians. The Indians are only batting 238 off of him, which is a little bit better. But I don't see a single bat that I'm really going to like in this game.
Yeah, let's swing it on over to a game where we can actually target some bats, and that's Brewers visiting the Cardinals. Willie Peralta, Jaime Garcia. Jaime Garcia is a guy that I love to target in tournaments. Doesn't give up a lot of hard contact, loves the ground ball, and he doesn't give up a lot of home runs. But the one thing that he has going against him is he has a low strikeout rate. But if you're looking for safe, you're looking for a guy that might be off the radar, Jaime Garcia is a guy that I love to target, and I love this matchup with the Brewers. What's your thoughts on Jaime Garcia here?
Yeah, I like him a lot for your second pitcher at DraftKings. I think he's a guy that can get you a win, get you 3 or 4 strikeouts, but he's going to get you some innings too. So he might give up a couple hits, he might give up a run or so, but I see the Cardinals really running away with this game and blowing Willie Peralta out.
Yeah, and then now looking at the Cardinals side, like you mentioned, Willie Peralta, a guy that we just want to target here in general. The Cardinals bats. Willie Peralta, 376, 36 hard contact rate to lefties, and then not much better against righties, 349 WOBA, 28% hard contact rate. At the top of this Cardinals order, there's a guy that I've been using a ton, and that's Hazelbaker, and he's definitely a guy that stands out to me here in this game.
Yeah, it's the whole Cardinals way thing. They keep bringing these guys up that just you never heard of, you don't even know anything about, but they can just rip the cover off the ball. I like any left-handed hitter. other than maybe Colton Wong in this game for the Cardinals. Carpenter leading off is going to have strong day. I feel like he's got a great batter versus pitcher against Peralta. Peralta struggles a lot against left-handed hitters, so he's probably the top priority on my list to have in a lineup. And then going down to Hazelbaker, he's on fire right now, and why wouldn't you ride him against a guy in Willie Peralta?
Yeah, Willie Peralta, definitely a guy you want to pick on here in this early slate. And like you said, Carpenter, just one of the safest cash game plays every day, but also presents some upside in the top of that order. I like that a lot. One thing that we got to talk about here, it's a dreaded Coors Day, and the early slate has the Coors game. So we got Matt Cain against Kristen Bergman. This is an interesting game. Matt Cain came back from injury last year and didn't pitch very well. And he was a guy that, 3-4 years ago, was just one of the best pitchers in baseball. Now he doesn't look so good, and now he has to go against the Rockies at Coors Field. We don't want to target either one of these pitchers, but I'm sure you like some bats here in this game.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're going to put your left-handed Colorado Rockies bats in for sure. Matt Cain is the worst pitcher tomorrow as far as average and slugging percentage combined, where you're going to get a lot of home runs in Coors Field. It's definitely going to be probably a very, very high percentage owned game. So you want to pick your spots in this game if you're trying to win a tournament. But if you're going cash, this is a game that if you can afford it, you want to stack some bats.
Look at Ty giving us some strategy talk here. I love it. This guy definitely knows his daily fantasy. One thing that I do want to point out, Cain struggled against righties last year as well. So guys like Arenado, who actually hit right-handed pitching a little bit better with power than he does lefties, Arenado probably going to be expensive here, and a guy that I love for tournaments because Coors is going to be high and his price is going to have people off of him. So I like him a lot. Now, looking at the other side of things, we always can target Giants, and this is definitely another matchup that we can target Giants here. We have to like guys like Brandon Belt, Posey, Panic. All these guys are definitely going to be in play.
Yeah, definitely. Matt Duffy, he's a guy that people like to – I think they like to underrate him a little bit, and he continues to surprise people, I feel like. I think if he's in the game, he's definitely going to have a good day. I feel like it's definitely going to be a Posey day, being a day slate game in Coors, and the guy is just a pure hitter. He's gonna hit a home run, I feel like, and at least have 2 or 3 hits.
Yeah, man, I definitely agree. Posey probably, if you're playing cash games, a guy that you're going to want to try to fit in because he's probably going to be 30-40% owned here, and for good reason. One other name that I just want to point out, Hunter Pence tends to hit right-handed pitching better. Bergman had those reverse splits last year. 422 WOBA with a 37% hard contact rate to righties. So guys like Posey and Pence just in a great position here. So definitely want to target them. But all right, so it wouldn't be a podcast with Ty Dillon if we didn't get to talk about the Braves, and they kind of finished us out here on the early slate. And we got Julio Teheran against to be determined. We're recording this podcast on Wednesday, and with the Strasburg injury, we don't know who's going to pitch for the Nationals, but we'll let you talk about your boy Julio Teheran here.
Man, Julio Teheran, I'm a fan of his, but I'm not a fan of him DFS-wise outside of Turner Field. And Bryce Harper has our number as a team, and I would definitely be targeting him tomorrow. He's going to go yard off my guy, Teheran. I don't see Teheran being totally elite. He's had a decent start to this year. His first start, he looked really, really strong against the Nationals. Kind of got blown up against the Cardinals, and we'll see how he rebounds on the road. I don't see him being elite or dominant in any way. He's going to give up some runs, and I think they're going to come through Bryce Harper. A guy who is kind of sneaky in this game, if he plays, it'll be Matt Den Decker. He has kind of been a thorn in our side when he comes in a pitch hitter role against the Braves, and being that it's a day slate, he might get in this lineup, and he might do some damage off Teheran.
Yeah, one other name I want to note here, Daniel Murphy, second base eligible on most sites, been batting in the 4 spot for Nationals, and it's very rare that we have a second baseman batting in the 4 spot. So he's definitely a guy we want to note. Not knowing the pitchers for the Nationals, we can kind of guess, but as long as it's not Strasburg and Scherzer, I think we're okay targeting some of these Atlanta bats. Guys like Freeman. I won't even steal your thunder here because I know you're digging to talk about one guy.
Yeah, Adonis Garcia has been my guy from the start of the year. So whoever the pitcher is, I'm starting to feel like Adonis is a guy who hits fastball pitching really well. Even guys who throw 97 or higher. So he did well against Strasburg. He did well against Scherzer in both of those games. So depending on who the pitcher is, if it's a guy with a lot of off speed, he kind of struggled a little bit against Gio the other night. But another guy in the Braves lineup who has a very surprising stat is Nick Markakis. Nick Markakis, as far as last night, I haven't seen today, is leading the major leagues in doubles. He got hot 3 nights ago and hit 3 doubles in one game, and then the next game he had 2 doubles. He struggled against the lefty-lefty matchup against Gio last night, but whoever they throw out there, I'm going to keep an eye on him today against Roark. I feel like he's going to have a good day. I haven't committed to having him in a lineup yet, but he's seeing the ball well. He's stronger after his off-season surgery, and he might get us a home run. He's definitely going to have a shot at a couple doubles, it seems like. Another guy I'm not going to target right now is Freddie Freeman. He's one of the streakiest hitters, but as soon as I see him start hitting the ball, I'll probably jump on him in some leagues.
Yeah, so what you're saying is if Freeman hits a couple home runs on Wednesday night, jump on him because he's one of those guys that's streaky. And we see that with some players. And, you being an athlete and being a professional athlete here, you go through these things where I'm sure that you're feeling it sometimes and then sometimes you're not. So when you see hitters like that, I'm sure you can kind of relate with that.
Yeah, definitely. You can almost see it in the guy's eyes when they're seeing the ball well. They're looking at the ball all the way to the glove, and you can tell this guy's locked in. And just from watching so much Braves games lately, I can see that in Adonis Garcia's eyes. He's seeing the ball well, even if he's getting walks. If the ball's outside, he's taking good hacks. Freddie Freeman is not. There's balls that I've seen him hit over the past 4 or 5 years, hit out of the stadium at some places, and he's missing them so bad right now. It's kind of scary. So I think he'll get it turned around. He's one of the best guys at making adjustments. He's one of the best hitters in the league. But there's definitely something to it. Some guys getting kind of a funk. They got to clear their mind. It might take one hit, one swing, facing a different-looking pitcher to get them back going, and hopefully that's tonight.
All right, Ty, I don't know how much you actually get a chance to listen to the podcast, but we do this thing called the Home Run Derby where every host and me, we play this game where we do a stake-style draft and we take 3 guys that we think are going to hit home runs here and we track it throughout the season. So you being my guest on this early slate, I'm going to let you have first pick on a guy that's going to hit a home run in this early slate, and I'll let you go first here. That's nice of me, right?
That's very nice. So let's see here. I might have to go to Coors. I'm going Buster Posey. He's my favorite one against Jorge De La Rosa. He's going yard.
Yeah, I like it, man. And every time that we've done that this week, my co-host here every time has picked Coors to start it off. So it's one of those things. And I'm going to go a little crazy here, but I'm going to go Sano. I think he's going to turn the power up in this game, finally get it going. And a really good matchup here. So I'll go Sano. And then for my next pick, it's one of those things where it just happens every once in a while. And it's going to happen in this game. Matt Carpenter, going to go yard here off of Willie Peralta. I like that a lot. So. Doesn't happen very often, but it's going to happen here. So give me 2 more guys, and that'll finish you off here. And then I'll give you my last guy.
All right, you robbed my pick with Carpenter. He was my next bullet in the gun there. So I'm going to go against my guys, and Bryce Harper is going to hit a moonshot against my Atlanta Braves. We're still going to come back and win the game late after Teheran gets shelled a little bit. But my next guy is Bryce Harper, and then I'm going to stay at Coors Field, and I like Carlos Gonzalez against the righty and Matt Cain. And the guy's been hitting pretty good to start this year, so his batter versus pitcher number doesn't look good, but I think he's gonna let one fly.
All right. Well, you went chalk with Coors twice here, so I gotta take one guy here from Coors, and that's gonna be my boy Nolan Arenado. I think that he's definitely gonna be a guy that gets a home run here against Matt Cain. So I like him. All right, so I got this written down now. I got to talk smack to you when I beat you in the first week of the Roto Grinders League, so don't let me continue to beat you in these things. But so Ty, thank you for joining me, man. Before we get out of here, we're heading to Bristol for NASCAR this week. A lot of fun stuff going on. You'll be in Tony's car, and one thing that I've seen on Twitter today, you and Austin both in Bass Pro cars this week, and you guys kind of got this thing going on with Bass Pro. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's really cool. We have the Bro versus Bro Bass Pro competition this week. It's kind of a sweepstakes competition with tracker boats, and whoever finishes better, there's a whole contest. If you go and follow myself, it's kind of going all over Twitter, but if you follow me at Ty Dillon on Twitter, we're going to be giving away a boat to somebody, and it's going to be based off of Austin and I's racing this weekend, who gets to give the boat away and what type of boat it is. So tune in to check all that out. Follow me on at Ty Dillon on Twitter and have a chance to win a boat.
Yeah, man. Go to at Ty Dillon here on Twitter. It's his pinned tweet. We want everybody here from the podcast, retweeting this tweet. We want Ty to have more friends than Austin. Let's be honest here.
That's right.
Let's give him the daily fantasy support that he deserves, because this guy knows what he's doing. He took time out of his day. He gave us some analysis here for this game. The least you could do is go and retweet that tweet. We want to see him take it down.
That's right.
All right, Ty. I will actually see you this weekend at Bristol, my friend. I'm hoping we get to do this again throughout the year. Love talking baseball with you. Love talking NASCAR with you. So I'm excited to see you this weekend. Guys, we'll be back here on Friday the 15th. My boy Hoop 2410 will be joining me on that podcast. But until then, good luck in your games tonight, and we'll see you then.